So thank you guys so much for joining. How to elevate your healthy routine for parents, teenagers, and kids. My name is Jolene Gruber, and I'm the nutritionist and national educator with Organica Health Products. So thank you so much for Healthy Planet for having me tonight. And I'm really excited to talk about this topic. I'm a mom, an athlete, and I've been a nutritionist for over 20 years. And I absolutely love talking about nutrition for little kids, middle-sized kids, and big kids. So I have two teenage boys. They're 15 and a half and 17. And I feel like I've learned a lot in the 17 years that I've been a mom. So I'm excited to share with you guys all my little tips and tricks I've learned along the way. And I have lots of stories. So let's just dive in. Tonight, we will cover 5 kind of areas on how to elevate your healthy routine for parents, teenagers, and kids. So first, we'll look at kids support, how to support those smaller students, maybe like elementary school, get them back in their routine. Then we'll look at the older students, like high school and college, university. We'll look at sleep and how important it is for you to sleep well and to help with your study habits and how important resting up is. We'll look at support for sports performance. So right now, next week is kind of the middle of August, and every college and university athlete across North America is heading to training camp. So I did it myself. I went to Iowa State University on a soccer scholarship. I was there for 4 years, and mid-August, 2 weeks before school starts, is where you go to school and you're basically training for 2 weeks. So nutrition, sport performance is super important starting next week for them. So I love talking about that topic. And then we'll dive into some immunity for your family and what we need to gear up for the fall. So thanks again for joining us. Just to give you a little bit of who we are, Organica is a natural wellness and beauty company from beautiful British Columbia, Canada. We love helping people live healthier lives, and we've been doing it for the past 30 years. So you can see in the picture here, the two gentlemen. Well, Organica was founded in 1990 by Tom Chin, and it's a family business. So the picture of the two gentlemen there are the 2 generations of Tom's son. Aaron Chin is the CEO and Jordan Chin is the president. So I'm super excited to work for a family-owned company. And what started as a humble line of supplements sold out of the back of their father's van many years ago has grown into a business of over 200 national vitamins and supplements. So it also includes Canada's #1 collagen. So we'll dive into that a little bit tonight as well. But like I mentioned, we're a really humble line of supplements, and we're super excited that we're the #1 collagen in Canada. We're also the 4th recognized brand in Canada. So there's so many amazing brands in Canada, and to be recognized as the 4th is really great for us. So we're super excited about that. So let's start with #1, kids support, how to support those smaller students and get them back to their routine. So this is super important, especially this time of year. Bedtime is so key for small kids, and starting to get them back on track, next week would be a great time to start, 2 weeks before school starts. Just make sure they're getting enough sleep. Keep in mind that anxieties often come out around bedtime. And if kids are staying up too late, they're really stealing from their cortisol and their energy from the next day. So your cortisol should be really high in the morning and lower at night when we want to go to sleep. But sometimes when kids are up too late and they're on their devices, that can get reversed. So their cortisol sort of overrides their melatonin, which is their sleepy hormone, and they have a hard time falling asleep. So if kids are up too late, just be aware of that and maybe start, a couple weeks before school to get them in those routines. Of course, the summer, kids push past their second wind. They're staying out a little bit later, having fun, which is normal. But even with my boys or teenagers, we're going to be starting it next week too. They play a lot of hockey and they're in competitive hockey right now. And if there's one thing you can do overnight to improve your health, it's sleep. No matter how little or how big you are, that's so important. And one of the ways to get back on track is to start with your sleep. So shut down the screens. I mean, something we still do with my kids is, cell phones an hour before our gone from their bedrooms, gone from their hands. We have a charging device in our office, and that's where the phones go. And sometimes it was hard at the beginning, but then when you get, you just got to stay firm as parents, I believe, and that really helps, because if they're on their devices all night long, it's really going to affect their health, and they're going to be really cranky the next day too. So like I mentioned before, melatonin, it naturally starts to increase. That's our sleepy hormone at 6 p.m. ish. So when my kids were little, that's what we did, started their bath or their shower time, reading them a story, getting them in that routine really helps. And sometimes, in the summer, because they have late nights, you have to kind of maybe wake them up early one morning, just so they're tireder the next night, right? Sometimes it takes a couple nights to get in that routine. So maybe just wake them up earlier, because they're probably sleeping in if they're going to bed late. But that's a really good, way to start supporting their back to school routine. And I find it works really well. So talking about bedtime, now I'll move into wake up. So wake up at a reasonable time. The kids are not rushing in the morning. I think this is just as hard on parents as it is on kids. So, if you can get them going to bed at a reasonable time, maybe wake them up 20, 30 minutes earlier if they're rushing every morning. So doing things like packing the bags and the lunches the night before, this leaves less to be done in the morning. And, with kids, sometimes the morning is a battle. So for elementary students, I learned this many years ago when my boys were small, and they did say it worked really well for boys. I would assume girls are probably even better, but lists were wonderful. So we had a morning list when they're in elementary school, and it just had 5 things. It had make your bed. I'm a huge fan of making beds in the morning. It kind of starts their day off on a good note. They don't have to be great at it. It just has to be a habit. And it kind of gets you going in the right direction in the morning. Eat your breakfast, take your vitamins, get dressed, wash your face, and brush your teeth. Once all those things were done, they might have time to play with a toy or do something, but I found lists were really amazing. So I always love sharing that. But for breakfast, you really want to make sure you're including protein and essential fatty acids. So those are key. And I have a picture here of the egg in a cup. We used to call it eggy cups when my kids were small. I still call them eggy cups, but they were just fun, and they were super easy to do, because we just boiled an egg, and my kids like the egg a little runny, and you put it in the cup and they would eat it. And eggs are amazing because they're complete proteins. You could even boil the eggs the night before to make it easier, however your kids like it. Eggs are wonderful because they're a complete protein. They have all 22 amino acids, and they're just a great food. So, and a good source of protein. So wonderful to have in the morning. Even leftover dinner, if there's protein like chicken or meat or something like that, nut butters, avocado, those are all really good sources of protein and essential fatty acids. And the reason why you want to have those first thing in the morning is because it sustains you longer. It holds you over, they're more filling. And when you have more of a sugary, refined breakfast, like the traditional cereals and cookies and things like that, kids will get a blood sugar spike, and then they'll get a major drop. Adults do too. And then you're really hungry after, and maybe a little cranky, and your focus at school is not great. So protein and essential fatty acids are wonderful. There's so many different ways that you can get the protein in there. Of course, there's smoothies and stuff as well. You could even do that the night before, but really making sure it's easy for parents, and the kids obviously like it and they'll eat it. But that's really, really important. I think kids do a lot better without cereal, fake juice, Pop-Tarts, donuts, cookies, muffins, candies, and all those junk foods. Of course, they're going to have them. I never alienated my kids. I always had them enjoy those things. I taught them to have them as a celebration. The problem I find today is people are celebrating every single day. So if it's a birthday party, cake, if it's at the hockey rink and someone brought donuts, have at it, enjoy it. But first thing in the morning when they get up every single day is something we want to get away from, because the sugar, it doesn't do well for them in general for their health, but also for school. They will not be great students with that kind of breakfast. So that's really important. I also like to mention that in the morning, receiving the sunshine is super important, not only for kids, but for everybody, people of all ages. So when we get some sun on our face, I'm not saying to get a sunburn or anything like that. It is so healthy for us first thing in the morning. It sort of resets our whole neurological system, our bodies, and it's really important, even not to stare up at the sun, but let our eyes get the sun on it. It's really great just to reset ourselves. So every single day, if they're not getting enough sunshine, that's really important. So, in September when school starts, have them have their breakfast on the porch or, outside, or have them walk to school if they can and walk home from school. So that's really important. And just really making sure there's no sugary drinks in their lunches because um, they don't need them. They'll get enough in their lifetime. But I always am a huge fan of water. Um, I used to tell my kids, you know what, you have water in your lunches, that's all you're getting, and we'll have a special drink on the weekend if we watch a movie or something like that. But kids do not get enough water, and young kids often have issues with constipation, and this is directly proportional to the water they consume. So, after school around 3, 4 o'clock, if their urine is the color of lemonade, perfect. Light yellow, pale yellow, if it's bright yellow or dark yellow, they're not hydrated. So you want to make sure they're getting enough water, so they're not dehydrated, and they need that for growing bodies. So it's really important to make sure they're getting that water throughout the day. And with all the processed food, you want to make sure you're getting a good supplement to fill in the gaps nutritionally. All that processed food out there, it's tough to get all the good nutrients. So Organic has amazing kids line. Making sure you're getting that protein from good food in the morning, enough water throughout the day and good foods. But kids line is really important to fill in those nutritional gaps. I mentioned some really good breakfast ideas. So, the protein like eggs, even leftover dinner, chicken, nut butters, avocados are really good essential fats. You can make some smoothies and things that have a good amount of protein as well. But again, making sure you're getting enough water is important as well. And vitamins, right? Vitamins are super important. On the left here of the screen, you can see the kids' probiotics. Probiotics are super important because when we're born, 80% of our immune system is in our guts. As soon as we start drinking chlorinated water, if we go on antibiotics, just junk food in general, we wipe out a lot of that good bacteria, and we need to replace it with probiotics. Over 90% of our immune system is in our gut as well. So we want to make sure we're replacing that, especially if we've been on antibiotics. But the probiotics are a great way to replenish the good bacteria. It's been a rule of thumb in my house since I had kids. I give them probiotics with every season. If they had issues like skin issues, eczema, anything like that, their skin is a reflection of their gut. So we want to make sure we're getting, some good probiotics and some zinc in there, which is really good for the skin, and some good DHAs is great for eczema as well. But probiotics are also really good for the bowels. So if kids are constipated, they're not having bowel movements, number one, you have to make sure they're drinking enough water because water bulks up the stool. If kids say they don't like water, that wouldn't fly in my house. So they need to drink water. And if water is not bulking up the stool, they might need some probiotics to help move things along. But probiotics are wonderful. So so many things: healthy gut, skin, eczema. Like I said before, the skin is a reflection of the gut, so you want to make sure they're getting those good probiotics in to replenish them. We also have a kids liquid zinc with vitamin C. So zinc is awesome. Even for teenage kids, when they start to break out or they get acne, zinc is wonderful for skin. It's great for little kids as well, because zinc is great for our immune system. And with the added vitamin C, it's very, very great as well. It's a really good combination. So the liquid zinc is a great flavor. It's liquid, which is nice for the kids, and it tastes awesome. So I'll move on to the Calcium Plus, which has D3 and K2 along with the calcium. So this is a fabulous product. So what's happening today, we're in what's called a calcium paradox. So A lot of foods you've probably noticed in the grocery store are calcium fortified. So calcium fortified orange juice, calcium fortified bread, calcium fortified, lots of things. So what that means is they've added the bottom of the barrel synthetic calcium to some orange juices and other products just for marketing purposes. So we're not really absorbing that calcium very well. So number one, it's not going to get into our bones and our teeth where the kids are needing it for growth. And you're probably noticing, like I personally have noticed, kids have like a lot of fillings today and a lot of like teeth problems. So I think it's because of this paradox we're in right now. So and we don't even absorb a lot of the calcium foods that well. So the calcium plus, because it has the D and the K, it also has the magnesium in there. The magnesium helps keep the calcium in solution. So what that means is it helps absorb it. So it gets into our bones and into our teeth and everywhere it needs to go. And then the D3 is wonderful for bone health, as you guys probably know. It's also great for the development of teeth. And K2 is an important nutrient as well. And what that does is it helps drive the calcium into the bones as well. So it's kind of like that missing link. What's happening right now is people are eating these calcium fortified foods, but it's not getting into the areas of the body that we need it. So K2 is really important for getting it to where it needs to go. And it's a wonderful product, especially for picky eaters. Kids almost, need it if they're not eating well at all. It's important to make sure they supplement with that. We also have a kids multivitamin spray, which is super convenient because it's a spray. And it's great because, you're getting all the vitamins and minerals that you would get in a normal multivitamin, and instead of in a tablet, it's in a spray, which is super easy for parents and for kids. I remember when my kids were small, I bought this one brand of supplements. It was a multivitamin for kids and they hated it. And we would find them like all over the house. My husband would find them in little places because they didn't like them. But this is super easy because it tastes good. You can just spray it in. I learned after like a few months that I had to actually watch them and make them take it. But the spray is really, really handy. We also have a baby probiotic. This is for infants. It's part of our kid line, but it's for infants 0 to 3 months. And it's fantastic because it's probiotics with vitamin D. So it's great. It's got the vitamin D in there along with the probiotics. So as you may know, if any babies have been born via C-section, they don't get the good probiotics passed on by mom. So really important to give probiotics after. Even babies that are born vaginally, if they're on antibiotics, anytime they go on them, probiotics are really important to take afterwards because the antibiotics will do its job. It'll get rid of the infection or whatever you're taking the antibiotics for. But probiotics are great for afterwards to replenish that good bacteria that got wiped out from the antibiotics. So I wish we were at a point where, the pharmacists would give us our antibiotics and our probiotics, but that doesn't happen. So we have to make sure we replenish with the probiotics after. And we have the kids plant-based DHA, which is fabulous. DHA is great for brain health and eye health. And this is a vegan source. It's plant-based, so it's from algae, and it's great, for kids to get those DHAs in there because that's really important for, growing brains, growing bodies. It's great for eye health as well. And speaking of eye health, we also have our Kids Vision, and this is a chewable as well. This was actually one of the most recommended vitamins. That's why we came out with the Kids Vision, along with some of the other kids products, is because so many parents were asking for a Kids Vision product. So it's a great source of vitamin A for eyes, and it's also great. Vitamin A is wonderful for skin too. Some kids, sometimes they get those little bumps on the back of their arm, the white bumps. It's called, I can't remember the name of it, but it'll probably come to me. But that's, vitamin A is really helpful for that. So the Kids Vision product has a good source of vitamin A. So that's wonderful. And of course, I don't have a picture of water on here, but just remembering water is key because most kids don't get enough. I always mention that first thing whenever I'm talking to any parents about nutrition, supplements, health, making sure they're getting enough water is really key. So talk a little bit about after school. So kind of talked about, before school, what to eat, supplements, making sure they're having enough water at school and not too much sugar. But after school, exercise is super important, especially for those elementary school students, because they are supposed to get enough QDF daily, and QDF in Ontario anyways stands for quality daily fitness. I don't think they ever did, my kids. They're going into grade 12 and grade 10 now, and it didn't always happen. So I always made my kids make sure we were close enough so they could walk to school and walk home. But even as they got older, they needed to run or play. And sometimes, even in the winter, if it was super cold out, we live on a court, I'd make them do a few laps of the court, like in the evening time, just to get outside. So just making sure they're getting some sort of exercise, because that's really important for their mental health and just their health in general, especially after, being at home and doing online school for a long time. Getting that sunshine, getting exercise outside is super important. Homework, I always was a fan of getting it out of the way early so kids can have some time to wind down before bed, getting back to that, bedtime routine. When the kids are smaller, they go to bed earlier. So everything, kind of feels rushed from after school, after work for parents to bedtime. So maybe even making another list for after school is really important. And it worked really well for us. And just a tip that just popped into my head. So I used to work when my kids were really small some nights, and my husband would work during the day. He was a teacher, and I would sometimes get dinner ready, and then I'd go to work. So my husband would do dinner with the guys, my kids, and he was really good. He was better than I was at, kind of dinner time routine. So if my kids were picky and they didn't want dinner, didn't like what was made for dinner, he would say, that's fine, you don't have to eat it, but if you're hungry before bed, this is what you're eating. And they'd leave it, they'd go play, they'd do their bedtime routine, then they'd say they're hungry, and they'd go back down to the table, and he would never give them anything else. I probably would have caved a little bit back then and made something else just so they would eat. But they would always eat it all. And then once I saw how well that worked, I just duplicated it. So that's a great tip. That was my husband was awesome at that. So that worked really well for us. So they don't have to eat if they're not hungry, never forced it, but if they're hungry later, they finish their dinner. And I did the same with their school lunches. My kids were pretty good eaters, but if anything was left in their lunches, that was what they ate after school. So in dinner time, it can get busy. Try as much as possible to sit at the table as a family. It's tough with schedules, especially when kids are doing different programs, gymnastics, hockey, dance. There's so much going on. But I'm a firm believer that family time, food brings people together, and there's good conversations, and there's a lot of health benefits of that, of having a sit down meal. And I try and do it as much as I can. I try and do it every night. We can't do it every night because the boys have a lot of hockey now, but keep it simple. Just eat healthy, eat together, include veggies, include real food. A big saying for me has always been Mother Nature gets it right, human intervention gets it wrong. So real food that comes from Mother Nature, nothing's been done to it, it's not processed. Try and eat like that as much as you can. And of course, make it easy. I'm not a great cook, but I mean, I'll take any type of veggie that's wilting in my refrigerator and I'll put it in a wok with some water. I'll saute it a little bit so it gets a little steamy, and I'll add onion, garlic, sea salt, pepper, and it tastes amazing when you add all those, the spices and the sea salts. So I find, that tastes good and it's really easy to do. Bedtime, again, I talked about this when we first started on the first slide, but no phones or electronics in the bedroom. We don't have a TV in our bedroom because the EMFs. So their EMFs stand for electromagnetic fields, and it's just not healthy. Like as we get older and talking to adults, a lot of people have issues with sleep. I was one of them. I'm much better now, but even a little less light, I'm a light sleeper. It'll wake me up and I'll be up half the night. So a lot of people are sensitive, and just for kids, if they're in a room, they will be on them. So just take it out. Makes it easier for you as parents. Now I'm going to transition over to the older students, help fuel the bigger brain power. So this is like high school, college, university kids. This is, a great time for kids. I mean, they're going back to school. and lots of stuff is going on, but they're growing, their bodies are growing, their needs are a little bit more. They It's really important that they fit in some exercise a few times a week if they're not doing it. It's so good for mental health. It's just good for energy. Again, duplicate a lot of the things with the little kids. I'm a big fan of getting outside. A lot of kids are lazy. My kids live really close to their high school and they ask for rides all the time, but I don't give them. And unless it's like pouring rain or a major snowstorm, my husband will take them. But they need that sunshine, they need the fresh air in the morning. And that goes for us too as adults. I'm a big fan of not opening your phone first thing in the morning. Go outside, have your coffee, your tea, whatever your routine is, go outside first. Of course, in the winter it's harder because it's colder, but I still always step out on my porch and have a tea in the morning if it's not like crazy cold. But really important for kids to get that as well, that fresh air first thing in the morning, and the sun on their eyes is really important. Getting creative is really important. You know, Kids with their free time, sometimes kids will thumb through their phone. I'm always telling my kids to get off their phone if they have some free time, but maybe doing something different, like coloring is an example. Not There's a lot of great adult coloring books. I don't know if teens would be into that. Mine are not, but just trying something different, like that has an effect on your brain. Meditation is great. You can even search online and you'll find a lot of different things for different interests, but just trying to do something different if they have free time that's a little bit creative, that's really good for your brain. So you've got exercising a few times a week is great for brain health. Getting creative is great for brain health. There's also some vitamins and supplements that are really good for brain health as well. It helps boost brain power in a lot of ways, especially if you're fatigued, if you're in college or university and you're doing exams, it can be quite stressful. And sometimes for older students, they need a little bit of support. I find protein is a big one. A lot of teens and early 20s do not get enough protein. It's the main reason they keep craving and binging on bad food. So I'll give you an example. My older son is 17. They're both competitive hockey players and they're both athletic. They have a lot of muscle and they are eating me out of house and home. And my son is just like, I'm always hungry. I'm like, you need more protein and fats. Like I know you can eat a lot. He's 6 feet tall. He's really muscular. But I said, you need to make sure you're getting the protein and fat. So enhanced collagen is a great way to add to even, anything like for adults. My kids don't drink coffee, but adults can add it to coffee. It can go to hot or cold liquids. He puts it in smoothies. But it's another way to just add in some protein to fill in those gaps. Because not enough protein is the reason they're really, really hungry. Maybe they're not eating enough, so they need more food and more energy, but usually the main reason is they're not having enough protein, so they might be having too many sugary foods, so they can't control their hunger. Some people will end up gaining weight and they kind of feel that lack of self-control. They call it I went to university in the US, they called the freshman 15, where your first year you gain weight. It's because you're just eating so much junk food, right? You're not at home, you're living in the dorms or whatever, so you're eating so much. So it's not enough protein. The protein and the good fats really sustain us a lot longer. So the enhanced collagen is fabulous for filling in those gaps. You're getting 10 grams of protein with just one serving. So you can add it to smoothies. You can even add it to things like pancakes, oatmeals. It's really great. And then it's also great for your brain because it sustains you longer. When we're in those blood sugar lows, we don't function well for school, for studying and everything. So, and we feel tired. So we don't want to feel that way. Super IQ is an amazing supplement that's great for cognitive function, so for brain function, and it's great. It helps improve the mental or physical performance after periods of any mental stress or physical exertion. It's also just really good for having that alert brain. And then we have our memory on the bottom right, and that's an adaptogen. And it's organic adaptogen, which is an adaptogen called lion's mane, which is a fabulous mushroom, and it's in a powder. It's 100% organic, and we call it your best study buddy because it's really good for concentration. It's known as a nootropic. So nootropic is great for brain health. And it's a powder, so it's really good for memory and focus. So when kids are studying, I used to, make a little smoothie for my kids during exam time and, put that in there. But it's great to have for, if you're going to have some exams coming up and you just need a little support. But and adaptogens are great. What adaptogen is, it really reduces the negative effects of stress, and it helps you, you know, cope better with, stress. And it also protects against free radicals because they're a really good source of antioxidants, but just a really good kind of thing to help support your brain health. Sleeping is one of my favorite topics. So how to help you and your study buddies rest up. Sleep is so important. I've mentioned it before. I mentioned that it's the one thing you can do overnight to really improve your health. So our most restful sleep is between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. And of course, older kids are definitely going to push past 10 p.m. Usually in the wintertime, my oldest practices hockey from 9:30 p.m. to 11. So by the time he showers and gets out, it's close to 11:30. So he's going to bed at 1 by the time he comes home and eats and everything. So it can be hard, right? University, college kids, same thing. High school kids, they're in the same boat. So you just have to realize, sleep when you can. Pushing past 10 p.m. elevates our cortisol, as I mentioned earlier. So our melatonin naturally starts to increase at 6 p.m. And if we're not going to bed at 10 p.m. and say we get on the hockey rink, or we get on our devices, or we start watching a movie, or we're chatting with a friend, that energy, my husband used to say this all the time right after the kids were born. If friends of mine had a potluck and I was so tired, he'd be like, oh, go, you'll get your energy when you get there. Well, you do. You push past your second win. It's just you notice it the second day. So it's like you're just like, okay, I had fun. Yeah, I'll have fun. I'll push past. But then the second day, you're totally exhausted. So obviously, you can't go to bed at 10 p.m. for these kids all the time. But when you can, take advantage of it. And really focus on sleep if you can. As soon as our sleep goes, everything else goes. Your health, your performance, your mood, everything. There's like one thing we can do overnight. I keep repeating this. It's sleep to improve our health. If you neglect your sleep, you will literally become a different person, and you won't like that person. Sleep is so essential. So insomnia is a problem because everyone stays inside all day. So as I said, get them outside as much as they can. Make sure, usually college, university kids are outside walking, hopefully a lot, but those high school kids, make sure they're outside walking. Not getting, enough sunshine is not great for their health. And your eyes need the sunlight, especially in the morning time. So if you're not sleeping well, make sure they're getting outside often. And next slide. So some things that can help with sleep are, like I said, 10 p.m. is the ideal time to go to bed. But when we push past it, which we do, our cortisol increases and it overrides our melatonin. So we want our melatonin to be high at night and our cortisol to be low. But what happens is it gets reversed. And over time, we get in that vicious cycle. I remember friends, I think I even said this when I was in university, oh, I'm a night owl. I am so not a night owl. You get in the habit of being a night owl. Sure, if I stay up till 3 a.m. and I sleep in till 11 a.m., that's going to be my routine. I'm usually the first one in bed at my house and the first one up. So, and I love that because you're getting lots of the daylight. So for those times when we need a little help, this is our enhanced collagen, which I spoke about earlier, but this one is called Enhanced Collagen Sleep because we've added GABA and melatonin. So I play in a women's soccer league on Thursday nights, and sometimes we don't play till 9 p.m. and I'm home at 11. So by the time I shower and all that stuff, it's well after 12. So I'll use this product to help me fall asleep because melatonin helps you fall asleep. GABA helps you stay asleep and have a nice restful sleep. So it's nice because it's flavorless and odorless, just like our original enhanced collagen. You can just add it to water and drink it. You can add it to, a caffeine-free tea. You can put it in anything. But it's kind of great just to sort of get us back on track if we're getting into that routine of being a night owl, which is not healthy. Even people that are working, say adults that are working night shifts, it's just before you go to bed, right? So if you're going to bed in the afternoon because you work night shifts, melatonin and GABA is great for that as well. I also wanted to talk a little bit about matcha. I find a lot of the high school students, it started, so my husband's a teacher, and when I was in high school, I don't think I drank coffee. In university, I think I started to try coffee, so I must have been in my early 20s, but everyone's at Starbucks now, like little kids, they're like drinking all this coffee. And it's not great for these little bodies to be drinking caffeine and this much caffeine. And something like a matcha latte, I have to admit I have had a matcha latte from Starbucks, and it is great. It tastes good because the matcha is really good because it's ground green tea, and it's really good because it's healthy. It's a really good antioxidant. It's got theanine in there, and it's known to calm and stimulate the mind at the same time. And matcha is really healthy. It's loaded with antioxidants, and it's really actually more antioxidants than any other food. So there's lots of health benefits to matcha, but it helps counteract the effects of free radicals. But you can make a latte and you kind of get that alert calm without getting the massive caffeine jolt. So enhanced collagen vitality is great. This is just a recipe. Feel free to take a picture of it. I think you'll get this recording after the webinar, but feel free to take a picture with your phone. It's just, honestly, you don't even have to use all the ingredients. It tastes amazing with all the ingredients, but sometimes I'll just froth some milk and add the enhanced collagen vitality, and it tastes amazing. Just a little frothed milk with it is really good. You could put a little hot water to mix the collagen first and then add the frothed milk, and it's really good. But you're going to get that stable, sustained energy without the jitters like coffee or high caffeine gives you. So you're not going to get the anxiety because it's a natural combination of natural caffeine and L-theanine. So, and lots of vitamins too. So it's kind of a neat little, I don't know, my kids aren't in college or anything yet, but I would maybe send them away with a little gift basket of this stuff when they go. So we do have a full line of collagen. So I mentioned a few of them already. And really collagen is, we have so many great ones now, really depends on the person. But like I was saying before, protein is so important, and these older students in high school and college or university, they're not getting a lot of the protein, but collagen has so many more benefits than just protein too. So of course the protein, it's great because it gives strength, elasticity, tone, and structure. But some people think of it only in our skin, but it's also found all throughout the body. So it's in our muscle fibers, our bone matrix, our blood vessels. It's basically the protein that's responsible for strong and flexible connective tissues. I like to think of it as the glue that holds everything together. And people ask this question all the time, like, yes, protein powder, collagen protein powders are safe for teens, which are considered adults. Even though people think of the product as a supplement, it is converted into a powder. So it's collagen is a food, and it's an important protein. So it's really great for connective tissues. You can't really overdo collagen. Of course, one serving, you're getting like 10 grams of protein, which is a great place to start. I'll give you an example. My son had a surgery about 3 years ago. I think he was 14. He had an elbow surgery, and he had a screw put in his elbow. So I was giving him a lot more than one serving, and it really helped with the healing, right? So it's found all throughout our body. And the important thing is that when you're choosing an enhanced collagen or collagen in general, is I love that it's 100% hydrolyzed. And that's pretty essential when it comes to collagen supplements, that you want to make sure it's absorbed well in the body, and 100% hydrolyzed makes it flavorless and odorless. So you don't taste it or smell it. And you can kind of add it to things, different foods and drinks. So hydrolyzation is basically the process of breaking it down into smaller peptides, so it's very absorbable. So that's one thing to look for if you're getting a collagen supplement. but you just want to do your research, make sure that they're not all created the same, but you want to look for, a few factors like sourcing, make sure, if for us, we do have collagen every day, my whole family, like, so my husband, myself, my 2 teenage boys. So you want to make sure if you're having something every day, it's what you do every day, not once in a while, right? Donut once in a while, okay, kids, have at it, right? Every day, no. But the collagen, you want to make sure it's sustainably sourced, grass-fed, pasture-raised, free of any growth hormones, antibiotics, heavy metals, and toxins. Test for GMOs, and our collagen is sourced from the USA, and it has all these. So really important to make sure that you're checking this, because you don't want animals to feed on that have been sprayed with any pesticides or anything like that, because you're going to ingest that, which is not healthy. Again, I talked about flavorless and odorless. So 100% hydrolyzed means that it's heat stable. You can add it pretty much to anything, which is great. And as I mentioned before, the amount of collagen per serving, so everybody's different. Collagen is necessary across much of our body. So it's great for hair, skin, nails. It's great for our gut health. It's great for our muscles, our joints, and it's really the building blocks. So a collagen powder is usually a great option, and it's great to add to things. So Organica's Enhanced Collagen is the #1 selling collagen powder in Canada, and it's a blend of type 1 and type 3. So you're going to get that full body, hair, skin, nails, gut health, bone and joint, muscles, and everything. So again, it's easily soluble, which means it absorbs well. Now, there are those teens, those high school students and college university students that don't eat beef, because enhanced collagen is from the hides of cattle. We have a marine collagen, which is pescatarian, which means it's from fish, and ours is sourced from cod. So you're getting, a great pescatarian collagen, and that's another option as well. So it's flavorless and odorless, and it's great for hair, skin, and nails, the same, and really good source of type 1 collagen. And it's just as clean as our enhanced collagen as well. Now, vegetarian diets are getting more and more popular. So we do have a plant-based collagen booster. Now, it's called a booster because there's no collagen in it. So if someone was a vegan, then they're not going to consume any animal products. So this does not have any collagen in it. That's why it's called a booster. So it contains 7 synergistic ingredients to naturally boost our own collagen production. So that's how it works. It's the first collagen booster to use ginseng and carrot peptides. And what they do is they mimic the role of collagen in our body. So like I mentioned, the ginseng and carrot peptides, their amino acid composition is similar to animal collagen. So the 7 ingredients are great. So the ginseng peptides is really great because, as I mentioned, it's similar to the animal collagen peptides. The carrot peptide is the same. Dragon fruit is a natural source of antioxidants, and it kind of gives it a little bit of a pink color, and it's really high in antioxidants. Moringa leaf is an amazing antioxidant. It's also it's called the miracle plant. It's from India, and it's very nourishing. It's almost like a multivitamin. The golden bamboo extract is great. It's got silica, which is great for flexibility in your skin, and it's really good for adding extra nutrients to the diet. Astaxanthin is a super high antioxidant, 6,000 times stronger than vitamin C. So this is like a great immune booster as well. I'd call it plant-based collagen booster and immune booster because it's so rich in antioxidants and vitamin C. So great to have for those college kids that are moving away, because colds, it's kind of like when they go to daycare, right? It's like, okay, they're going to get colds because they're around so many kids. Same with college, they're going to be around so many kids living with dorms and whatever university life is like. So this is a great immune booster as well. And the vitamin C from really boost the collagen as well. So vitamin C is great for the body. So I'll move on now to supporting sport performance and keeping your student athletes hydrated and on track. So I love this topic. Like I mentioned before, so next week is middle of August, 2 weeks before college university starts, all the student athletes are going back early for training camp. And that's where they train usually 2 a days. That's how it was when I played university soccer. And just lots of training. You're with your team the whole time. And it's pretty exhausting. You're getting in really good shape. Hopefully you came to training camp in shape, because then you'll feel terrible. But it's great because, college university athletes, are the first ones on campus, and nutrition is key. So hydration is super essential, especially, look at the weather we've been having here in Ontario, and recovery is crucial. So rest is essential, right? All these college university athletes are pretty much doing the same amount of training. It's recovery that gets people ahead, right? So when you look at Olympic athletes, look at track runners, right? A lot of track runners, my roommate was an amazing track runner in university, and they all did the same thing. Like, it was an individual sport, right? So they're all working just as hard. Even when you look at the Olympic athletes, the thing that gets one ahead is the recovery. So recovery is super important. Eating well is really important. You have to look at antioxidants like grapeseed extracts, protein, electrolytes. There's a rule in the NCAA in the US that every 7 days you have to have 1 day off for recovery. So you're not allowed, it's a rule, you're not allowed to practice every single day or have a game every single day of the week, because recovery is so important. So you want to take advantage of recovery. You want to make sure you're getting electrolytes, antioxidants, good nutrition, and lots of rest. Because when you're not getting that, that's when injuries are going to happen. And electrolytes at this time of year are really key. We need them because when we sweat, you can taste the salt, right? When you're running and you're sweating, we lose salt. So hydration is more than just water. It's salt and water and lots of minerals. So minerals like potassium, magnesium, iodine, chromium, copper, zinc. So we need to stop hydrating with just plain water and start hydrating with electrolytes and water. And most of the universities and colleges know this, and they usually supply it, which is great. But it's important too, just for every kid that's exercising and being out in the sun, is to make sure they're getting enough electrolytes. When I was in university, so I graduated in 1998, I think, so quite a long time ago. But when we were at training camp, before every practice, so we had two to three training practices a day, we'd have to weigh in before and weigh out, because you could lose a lot of water, right? A lot of water electrolytes. And unfortunately, there was, I think, a football player that passed away during training camp back in the day, and that just got everyone, just from dehydration. So that got everyone in line to, making sure you got to weigh in, weigh out, make sure you're getting enough water and electrolytes. So when I was at Iowa State University playing soccer, at halftime, we would come off and we'd have Gatorade. It was just normal back then. It was just the orange and the yellow, and we drink it. It was a habit. We had to drink it. We drank it. And then I remember a couple years after I graduated university, I was home here in Ontario, and I think I was going for a run, and I think I stopped at like a convenience store, and I got a Gatorade, and I remember tasting it, and it was so sweet. And I was like, why is this so sweet? The one at university wasn't that sweet. Like, it's so weird. So I did a little research, and I found out that the NCAA and the NFL and all the pro sports back then, they had a certain concoction of electrolytes. It was different than the kind that was sold in the store. I don't know how it is today. It's maybe different, but there wasn't half the sugar that there was in the store-bought electrolytes. And it was mostly sodium, salts, minerals, because that's what it tasted like. It was colorful. There was probably a little bit of food coloring because it was orange or yellow, but it was just salty water, and it was really good for us, and it did work. So it's really important to note that, like, you have to be careful of what the kids, the athletes, are drinking, because a lot of it's just sugar water, right? Look at the labels and see what's in there. They don't need sugar, right? So they get enough sugar. So you want to make sure you're getting a good amount of electrolytes. Organic has 3 amazing flavors. They have a wild berry, a lemon berry, and a strawberry peach. And there's 0 sugar, right? There's a little bit of stevia in there, but they're great flavors. And you're getting the good electrolytes that you need to replenish, right? It's not just about water. You need water and electrolytes, especially when you're playing competitive sports and you're sweating a lot. A lot of that fatigue can come from lack of electrolytes. So it's really important to make sure that they're getting some. So not only just, the salt, but they're getting, potassium, iodine, and magnesium is really important as well, especially for muscles. So magnesium is one of those things that does, over 350 things in the body. It's the most common nutrient deficiency. So, leg cramps, my son had a leg cramp a couple weeks ago, and I'm like, that's magnesium. It's your right leg, right? He's like, yeah, how'd you know? I said, that's magnesium, because he's been sweating. Like they're training outside, they're working outside, they're doing so much, and you see it, right? So you want to make sure you're getting enough magnesium to help with the imbalance. And if you're getting leg cramps, or you're noticing twitchy eyes and things like that, you need more magnesium. So Organica's magnesium has good bioavailability. That means it's absorbed very well, and it promotes muscle relaxation. So it's also great for extinguishing stress, right? When we're stressed, our adrenal glands, which are 2 walnut-sized glands that sit on the back of our kidneys, they spill out magnesium when we're stressed. So magnesium extinguishes your stress. You need to replace the magnesium. It lets you sleep deeper. It makes your bones stronger. If you have a calcium supplement and you drop it in water and you stir that calcium supplement, it'll start to dissolve. As soon as you add a little bit of magnesium, it puts the calcium in solution. It really helps absorb the calcium. So it makes your bones stronger. It lowers your inflammation. I mean, I could go on and on, but it allows your brain to fire on all cylinders. It's really the miracle mineral. When you drive, I haven't seen this actually in years, but I remember, God, years ago, maybe 15, 20 years ago, they used to have billboards like milk for your bones, like, the milk advertisements. I think magnesium should be on all those billboards because that's the most important mineral. So very good for students of all ages. And speaking of magnesium, so we have our Enhanced Collagen Relax that has magnesium and L-theanine in there. So L-theanine is great. This is an amazing recipe too. So I love throwing in recipes. So take a picture of this. You'll get this recording after the webinar, but it's really good recipe. And if you're just looking to add in some protein and you want some magnesium and some L-theanine, that's great. L-theanine is great because it's an amino acid that naturally helps you kind of relax, and it produces that calming effect in the brain without having the drowsiness. So it's just a nice combination. Like I said, we have a lot of different enhanced collagens, and just got to see what's right for you. But there's so many great ones that we have, and you can use them in many different ways. One question that comes up all the time is, how much collagen do I need every day? Well, everyone is different, but like I said, 10 grams, that's one serving, is a great place to start, because that'll fill in some gaps nutritionally. You want to make sure you're getting enough protein in your diet. You want to make sure you're eating real food. Remember what I said earlier, Mother Nature gets it right, human intervention gets it wrong. So try and eat real food as much as you can. Of course, kids in college, university, all kids of all ages, they're going to cheat like us adults, right? We can celebrate, right? The problem is we're celebrating too much and we're not getting enough of those good nutrients. And I find protein is one of them, especially for athletes, right? They're building muscle. Protein is really important, and for brain health as well. So not only is the protein great for building muscle, but it's also great for joint health, gut, hair, skin, nails. So just one of those things, like I never knew about this when I was in university, but it would have been great just to have, after a practice or after a game or just in the morning as a breakfast, because it's hard, living on your own as a kid and trying to figure things out, what to eat. So yeah, it would have been great to have that then. So it's something I would definitely make sure my kid had when they were going away. I talked a little bit about antioxidants, so I just wanted to talk about, antioxidants are great. I have a picture here of the grape seed extract, but of course, college students, they don't get enough antioxidants, I find, like good food, real food, like the broccolis, the berries, nuts and chocolate are even great. But just making sure they're eating those on a regular day. And if they're really elite athletes and they're doing a lot, you may want to provide some antioxidants like grapeseed extract, because it's really good to for the free radicals. So basically what happens is when we exercise a lot, the damaged muscles kind of have oxidation. So free radicals are great to help with muscle inflammation, and they also lower the resistance to colds and flus. So it's really good to kind of fight that free radical damage from exercising. We also get free radical damage from our phones and computers and everything as well. But when people are exercising a lot and playing competitive sports, like collegiate sports, antioxidants are even more necessary. So it really helps kind of prevent that damage that the free radicals do. So next I'm going to move on to immunity for the whole family. I've got a few minutes left here and then I'll wrap it up. But just quickly for the whole family, I know I've talked, the focus was on small kids, medium-sized kids, and bigger kids, but the whole family needs immunity, especially heading into the fall. I know some people have been complaining that colds did last a little bit longer this year just because, the situation we've been in the past couple of years, but just, that a healthy immune system protects us first by creating a barrier that stops the invaders from entering the body. So if one slips by the barrier, the immune system produces white blood cells and the other chemicals and proteins that attack and destroy these foreign substances. So we need our immune system. It's very important. So when you think about it, like I learned this when I was doing my nutrition schooling after university, like 22 years ago. So I never forgot this quote either. It was from a book, and the quote was, how a lot of kids are getting their tonsils out, or they have got their tonsils out, right? Well, when our tonsils, we're getting tonsillitis, that's our immune system telling us something's wrong. Like our immune system needs to get stronger. Because if we keep getting like an infection or something like that, that's our immune system screaming to us, like we need improvement here. So the quote from the book was, removing tonsils is like ripping out a ringing fire alarm instead of tending to the fire. So we need to, even if our tonsils have been removed, like my husband had his tonsils removed, but like that's a sign saying we need to protect our immune system. We need to enhance our immune system. So, if we've been on antibiotics, make sure we're getting those probiotics, make sure we're, filling in those gaps with, some minerals and some supplements that can really help boost our immune system. Because I've been doing that right now with my kids because they start their camps next week for hockey. So it's really important. Like, I just want to make sure their immune systems are boosted. I don't want to build, like I'll build it when they get sick. Everyone gets sick, we get colds and flus, but if our immune system is built and, a virus comes in or something, we'll get through it quicker, right? So you want to make sure we're really helping our immune system and fighting the immune system. Don't smoke. If the kids, all the kids have had the talks about smoking, and it's just so bad for us. Eat lots of fruits and vegetables, exercise and drink lots of water, maintain a healthy weight, don't eat too much sugar, get enough sleep, try to minimize stress, and get enough vitamin D daily, especially going into the winter. That's super important for kids and family members in general. Speaking about vitamin D, it's called the sunshine vitamin because it's produced in your skin in response to sunlight. So I mentioned earlier, in the morning, it's really good to get the sun on your face, especially your eyes. You don't have to look up at the sun, but just get the sun on your face so it gets on your eyes. And that is really, really good to just reset your system. It's really good to absorb the sunshine. Vitamin D is a fat soluble vitamin. So, of course, if you're eating enough good fats and everything, it'll really help absorb the vitamin D. But when your body is exposed to vitamin D naturally, you just feel better. You're stronger. Your immune system is stronger. You have more energy, and there's a reason I remember in high school, some people calling some kids vampires because they would, like I said, stay up all night and sleep all day. Well, you're white as a ghost. You don't feel well. It's because you need vitamin D. So making sure that, you're getting that vitamin D from the sun. And when you can't, make sure you're supplementing with vitamin D in the fall, winter, and even early spring. So the recommended daily amount for adults is 2,500 IU. So I personally take about 5,000 a day, but I encourage everyone to get their adults to get their vitamin D tested. Cost $35. Just ask your doctor. It's nice to know where you're at. You want to be at 150. So that's really important. So people that live close to the equator get approximately 3,000 IU per day naturally. So that's a good kind of gauge. But between 70 and 90% of North Americans don't get enough vitamin D. So it's really important to make sure, these drops are great. They're super easy. One drop is 2,500. We even have a dropper of 1,000. So, it's really great for strengthening your immune system. It boosts your mood, and it helps with teeth and bone development because it helps the body absorb calcium. So vitamin D is great for all those things. We also have some fun things. They're little instant C, D, and zinc immunity tabs. And I spoke earlier about making sure kids are drinking enough water. They should drink enough water. And sometimes I'll get them to throw in these immunity tabs. They're watermelon and peach, and they taste amazing. And they have extra vitamins in there. There's 1,000 milligrams of vitamin D in one tab. So my kids will put 2 in 1 and drink it, put some ice in there, and they love it. So it's a great way to kind of flavor your water and have 0 sugar. Adults that are doing low carb love them too, but kids need their carbs. Adults need them too, but just not too many of the refined ones. But it's really good for on the go. So my kids sometimes plop them in their water bottles and go. So it's a great thing for boosting your immunity. We also have, I talked about the kids liquid zinc. We have an adult one that is the same. So just a great liquid supplement. Liquid zinc is so good for immune function. It's also great for healthy bones, and it's great for skin, hair, and nails. So it's a nice combination that is with the C, and just great as liquid. So anyone can take it if they have problems swallowing vitamins or supplements that are in tablets or capsules. And then we have bee propolis that is great. So everyone always asks, what the heck is bee propolis? And basically in nature, bees collect materials from bark and leaves, and then they partially digest it. So they chew it in their mouth, then they partially digest it, and they mix it to form a resin called propolis. And the propolis is used in the maintenance of their hives. So they put it around the hive, and it works as an antimicrobial agent, and it keeps diseases out of the hives and the colonies. So I think it's just fascinating when I learned about bee propolis because, again, Mother Nature gets it right. So for humans, it is a really great source of antioxidants, and it's great for sore throats, canker sores, any oral inflammation works wonderful. It also combats viruses, bacteria, and any microbes that create challenging. So, you feel a little sore throat or a cough coming on, you can use the spray or the drops of bee propolis, and it's super easy. It's super easy and on the go. We also have a quercetin with bromelain supplement for immune boosting. And it's great because the quercetin is an antioxidant that is really good for anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, antihistamine, and antiviral properties. The bromelain is an enzyme from the stem of pineapples, and it's a digestive aid, but it also helps the absorption of the quercetin. So that's really great. Lastly, I'm just going to talk about probiotics for the last slide because I've talked about probiotics already. We do have an adult prebiotic plus probiotic powder. And as I mentioned before, probiotics are really important for our immune system. When we're born, we have over 80% in our digestive tract. And anytime we take antibiotics, we drink chlorinated water, we have a bad diet, we're eliminating our good probiotics, so you want to replace it. So we also have kids probiotics that are chewable tablets, which are great for the immune system, also really good for the bowels. So of course water is number one, but probiotics are great for bowel health and making sure people are regular. And it's really good for any IBS, Crohn's, or anything like that. Probiotics are very, very healing for the intestine. So again, they are great for the immune system and really the maintenance of good health. So that pretty much wraps it up. I will check the chat, but I wanted to say thank you guys so much for taking the time tonight. I did go a little bit over. But like I said, this is one of my favorite topics, and you guys can take advantage of 20% off all the Organica products mentioned tonight. at Healthy Planet this week. So that's an amazing deal. And I will go check the question box right now. I can see there's a few here. Okay. Okay, so what is recommended for teenage girls with moodiness? Okay, so this is a great question. So I guess teenage girls with moodiness, I mean, I have teenage boys, they can be moody too. I would always, not knowing the health history or knowing, of course, sleep is really important. Diet is really important because I would, that's key. Vitamin D is great for mood, making sure they have enough vitamin D, making sure, their diet is rich, maybe making sure they're not getting too much sugar, getting enough protein. And then, sometimes hormones could be an issue. You might want to talk to a naturopathic doctor and, depending on their cycles, if those are really heavy, it could be a hormone problem, but you'd have to talk to a doctor. I couldn't recommend anything like that. Yeah, it's probably a thing with teenage girls. I remember being probably pretty moody as a teenager, but having said that, you could always talk to a doctor and just double check. But other than that, let me just see, it says something about chat. Okay, another question here. Do you touch on Organica NAC for assistance after COVID? So we do have a wonderful product called NAC. I didn't focus on it today. I have focused on it before. Feel free to go to our website, organica.com. There's a lot of great information there on NAC. NAC is great for many colds, many viruses. It's really good for any respiratory congestion and stuff like that, but there's lots of great information on our webinar. There's another question here. Yes, the webinar is recorded, so no problem. So 10 grams, there's another question here, 10 grams of collagen for adults daily. What about kids, preteen boys? So usually, after as soon as someone is 13 or, at an adult weight, they can be considered for adult supplements. So like I said, my son was 14 and I was giving him enhanced collagen because he had a surgery on his elbow. And it's just a great source of protein. It's basically, I consider it kind of like a food. So start with 10 grams and see, that's a great addition to protein. I gave my son probably tripled that because he had his elbow surgery, but 10 grams is a great place to start. Okay, up to what age can the multivitamin spray be used? Well, you know what? It goes, so I think it's up to age, I will double check it, we'll say on the website, but I feel like it's, there's a dose in there for up to 10 or 12. But you could always, even with my kids, I had a sample of it and they're teenagers, but I just gave them a few sprays, but I believe it's up to age 12, but you could double check the website or, yes, it will say it on the website, so you could double check that because I'm pretty sure there's 2 doses. I just can't remember offhand, but it will say on the box on the website. Oh, you're very welcome. I'm almost positive for all the kids' products, there's 2 ages, like from ages 4 to 8 and then 9 to 12 or something like that. And it'll have different doses as well. Okay, I think that is all the questions. Just gonna make sure. Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for joining tonight. As I mentioned, you guys will get the recording of this, and feel free to check our website. There's product information on there. The Healthy Planet website has product information as well. And you can follow us on Instagram because there's lots of good recipes on there as well. But I look forward to seeing you all at the next webinar, which will be coming up probably in about 8 weeks. So thank you all for joining me. I hope all your kids have a great, healthy start to school. and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.